This podcast has been brought to you by Voyager's World. We are building the most amazing hospitality network.
All right. So, who are you, sir?
My name is Sergey. I'm Serg Zyuzin. I travel quite long time right now, a little bit more or less of 1.5 year. So I try to make trip around the world.
Where are you from?
I'm from Russia.
Okay. And you, sir? Who are you?
Human. As far as I know. So I'm Artur. Where I'm from St. Petersburg, Russia, I think. I spent most of my life over there, grew up there, finished several schools. Yeah, but now I live in the United States, so not far from here.
So you are living here now?
Oh,
you're not just.
I live in the United States.
Okay. In what city?
City Lanham. It's in Maryland.
Okay.
Not far from DC.
Yeah.
Washington.
Usually this podcasts. Usually I do them individually, but now it was such a good opportunity that I had two guys that are Russian speakers, have interesting, really different stories, and you are here at the same time. I thought, okay, I'll do a double podcast. No, I don't mind. I think you guys have something quite unusual in your stories because of the way that you're doing it. And in your case, Artur, it caught my attention when I was looking at your photos, because you did some really amazing work with photography and mountaineering and the way that you were traveling. Yeah, that is impressive.
Okay,
That
thank
is
you.
impressive, and you send me a link to it, and I'm going to post on the podcast. I'll put a link to it, so people can see it, and that's why I invited you to be both here, so we can talk a little bit about travels. So, where have you been so far?
I personally been many countries, but I can say I've been a lot of countries. The world itself is really huge, and it's 6 continents, something about 200 countries. I haven't been in one quarter. Still, I've been 40 something countries, and the thing I try to observe each country quite good. Not everyone, not always I'm successful, because sometimes I have short time in one country, and even for little countries 1 month not enough sometimes. I've been in Cuba yesterday, and I just arrived to here, and I can say that I've been 30 days in Cuba, and it seems it's small island, but even 30 days not enough to observe this kind of countries if you want divine really deep in culture, people, and local life. And the thing I like when I travel is conversation with people and communication mostly, because it's a really important part of the life. How people behave, what they think, how they live, most of usual people all over where. So I try to speak with locals mostly.
Yeah. In Artur, where have you been?
I'm not such a cool traveler as Sergey. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, is it okay to call you Sergey?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, because some people prefer Sarge or Serge.
It depends. In Spanish speaking country, I call Sergio. In Portuguese, it's Sergio. In France, it's Serge. In Russia, Sergey. It doesn't matter actually.
Okay.
You can convert to local.
Yeah. So I think one of my most country, a lot of my trips that has many countries, more than one or more than two, was about 10 years ago. This was hitchhiking through Europe. Not much, just for maybe 3 weeks. So your month in Cuba is even more than my big travel in Europe. And then I decided that Europe is pretty decent place. So I'm from Europe originally. I'm from Latvia. But still in the days it was part of Soviet Union, right?
Yeah.
So, and Europe is, at least from my nowadays understanding is quite the same. I mean, there are differences in Eastern, Western Europe, Northern Europe, Southern Europe, if we can call it like this. And Spain is different from France, and France is different from Germany, and that's totally different from Baltic countries, like Latvia or Estonia. But if you combine all of that together, all of them are quite the same in comparison with, I don't know, Kyrgyzstan, right? Or somewhere in Central Asia, in some country in Central Asia, or a country in Middle East, right?
But until when were you in Latvia?
Oh, let me think. So my parents moved with me to Leningrad when it was still Leningrad. So it was, I expect, 1990, I think. And I can't quite remember that time.
Which was still Soviet Union, right?
Yeah, it was still Soviet Union. That's why they traveled. Then Soviet Union disappeared. But most of my relatives, they either still live in Latvia or used to live there when they were alive. And I used to go there like for more than all the time I could spend. I would go to school, like on holidays. I would spend in Latvia over there. So. But
did you get what I wanted to get to is? Did you get to know Latvia a lot after the end of the Soviet Union?
Yes, most of it was.
Because when I went there, I got so even conflicting signs that, oh, this is still Soviet. Or sometimes I would be talking to people and they really wanted to make sure that you understand that it's not Soviet Union anymore, that they are following their own way. And then other times you don't get that impression. You know it's mixed. It's like I felt the same in Ukraine. You know that they really want to look west and they want to find their own way of doing things, and some people are completely Soviet.
Depends on generation, probably.
I think it depends more on generation, in education too. But generation for sure.
And by education you mean level of education or just
the people that are more sophisticated and more educated, I felt they were much more westernized. Not just in that political view, but also on the way they behave.
In my opinion, actually the important thing is language that people speak. Because old generation, they mostly speak Russian. But young generation in most Soviet Union countries, they speak native language. And they educated mostly in native language. So they have different kind of behavior. And they more westernized than...
and when I say that I saw differences in behavior, I mean difference in personal behavior, not just talking about politics. But on the way that they are unafraid of social media, they are unafraid of socializing, and they are less risk adverse. You know, there are a lot of things that are very different in the young people there. When you look at classic education or like in sciences, the software developers there, for instance, it's so clear that the level of their training is excellent, that their mastery of mathematics and logic and coding is awesome, but then they are kind of shy. They are still, a lot of them are, they don't take initiative too much. They are so trained to not fail, you know, that you still see that in their culture. But as you mentioned, that is a difference in generations. Yes, the younger ones are closer to us. You know, they are a little more similar, I would say. You know, while the old people sometimes it's surprising how Soviet and how nostalgic they are. Nostalgic of a country that they actually didn't like.
It happens. Even abroad, like most of people hate the country they were born. For example, like Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, doesn't matter. They just immigrate from our country. For example, United States, Canada, and they like their own country they was born. but they never live over there.
Yeah.
Actually,
I think that people like a memory they have that is a selective memory. It's the parts that they like.
Yeah.
You know, like, yes, the music was amazing and the food was incredible and all that, you know, but they conveniently are forgetting all the things that were wrong or all the stuff that was bad.
Yeah, no, this is this whole joke about modern, like young people who are around 30. When someone asks them, "Hey, what do you think about Soviet Union?" The person would say, "Oh, I love it. It was absolutely amazing. Like the best country in the world. Like you could never imagine anything better." And you would like, "What? What are you talking about?" He would say, "Yeah, sure. You just wake up." You go to school, then you go back to watch a TV or just run and then go to sleep. That was amazing, right?
Yes, it was awesome.
It was amazing, right?
Yeah, there's a comedian that said something like that. Doug Stanhope. He said, "It's not that those times were better. What happens is that you were better because you were younger."
Yeah.
No? So by being younger, you were more interesting, and then of course the memory you have of it is nicer. No, but imagine being old at that time. You know, then it wouldn't be as much fun. So I think that is a big disconnect in that way. So yeah, so I asked you about Latvia because I went there and I got a very interesting feeling of a country being different than the others. So
but by others, you mean neighbors?
By everybody everything else. The Baltic, you know, before we know it, we have the impression that it's going to be more or less similar. Not much. They are quite unique. Even the food is different, and I found a lot of things to be quite unique and different in Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania, in a different vibe about it. But I didn't get too deep into the history of it. The only thing that I found that was similar is that it was fucking cold. Riding the motorcycle there was tough.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because we were going. It was early in the summer. It was still June.
Summer. It was
it was late June.
But the Baltic
So
Sea.
it was it's still early, so it was cold. We were getting some really tough cold wind there.
20 years ago, the weather was completely different in this region in comparison with now. Yeah, the climate has changed. Even in Russia, I remember all our childhood. Every winter we play ice hockey on the streets because it was enough snow to play and have fun, and snow not melting quite often. But last, let's say, 5 years, maybe a little bit more, the winter not as much good as it was before. Probably it's just childhood memories, but
I am very careful with the personal impression thing when drawing conclusions like that. But that is a bunch of statistics that support your claim that it's not just changing, but it's changing in a way that you can perceive. Yeah. But it's still subtle. You can perceive, but not too much. Because when climate changes, what changes is the extremes first. It doesn't change the average for every day. So a regular day in the middle of spring will feel today pretty much the same way that you would feel 50 years ago if you were there. But when a storm comes, which is the extreme days, the ones at the end of the range, those can be quite different. Or even, let's say that instead of, in the Gulf of Mexico, instead of, 4 major storms in a winter, you end up with 5 major storms. It's just one more storm. That's 25% more, That's a big difference. And also, it has a lot of impact on how much, on the crops. In agriculture, there will be a major difference. It will make a difference in mating of animals and how much insurance you're going to pay. A lot of things become very different. One interesting example of that is that in Florida there are 2 different kinds of termites, and one of them used to reproduce in June, and the other used to reproduce in August. And they were, and over the last 30 years, let's say, the temperature went up like half of a degree, something nearly difficult to even to at all notice. But the termites notice it, because they're one of those two species. Its mating season is very sensitive to temperature, and it migrated. So the one that was in June started to mate more towards July now, and the one that was in August also moved it back, and they overlap now a little bit, and that created and because now they have the mating season at the same time, at least for a few days, they crossbred. And when they crossbred, they created what they call now a super termite. And that termite is pretty resistant to all kinds of chemicals that they have today, and they destroy the house faster, and there is not there are not very efficient ways to control it. So we are beginning to have in Florida a problem with a termite that didn't exist probably for thousands of years. Probably from the last hot period, which was some 30-something thousand years ago. So since then, that termite didn't exist, and now it exists again. So some very little difference can cause that kind of thing. But I don't think that we are going to be, swimming in downtown anytime soon, like people say. There is a lot of exaggeration, too.
So where have you been in Latvia?
First, we were driving from Lithuania. We just went through first. Oh, no. The first time we got to Latvia, we got to Riga and spent, or we didn't even stop. We just drove through and went to a festival that was part of this summer solstice thing, but it was a festival that was yoga, one of these yoga retreats, right? That you go there and you do yoga for 3 days, and there are all kinds of different things that are related to the same, either related to yoga or at least related to the same group of consumers, So where if there is yoga, there will be something related to meditation, another thing related to going to India, and another thing, they will sell all kind of things. To me, that entire combination is as pathetic and bullshit as it can be. But the practice, at least the exercises that were being done and the classes that were being done, were actually very cool, and I ended up participating in a little bit. There was also the very beginning of me traveling with a girl that she teaches yoga, and so it was my first exposure to that, and I like it. It was interesting. I like listening to some people there, and some of them were pretty serious about what they were teaching and pretty well intended. Some of them were completely full of shit, but they were funny. funny. So that was cool. Then we went to Estonia, and on the way back, then we stopped in Riga for a longer period, for like 2 days or maybe 3 days. And I remember that was another festival there, and so we did that thing, and then drove south towards Lithuania again. And on the way south, when we crossed the border into Lithuania, we went to the Hill of the Crosses that has all the thousands of crosses in one hill. It's something really bizarre, really bizarre. I don't know. It was bizarre to see all that thousands and thousands and thousands of crosses that people bring from everywhere, and they keep bringing more. And you can see some are old, some are there recently. It's bizarre, because if you are I don't know, if you are not into that religion and you see that much of that, it's not just the surprise. It's I don't know. It was weird. I don't even know how to explain that, but it was weird to see.
Strange feeling. So it
It was imagine if I don't know. Imagine if Jesus was shot instead of crucified. It would be a hill of rifles. I don't know. It to me it is a torture thing. You know, it keeps reminding me of a torture thing. It's like a death cult. I don't know. It's something really strange. You know, and that is when places like that. They tend to not attract the moderate. They tend to attract the fanatic. And you know, like I went to a church in Warsaw, and Warsaw is super Catholic, right? Like most of Poland is super Catholic. And there was this church where Pope John Paul used to be there. I don't know for how many years. And they had this room that now they say, oh, this was his thing, and there is a picture of him, and people pay to go there and take a photo of it.
Photo of his photo.
People pay to get in to take a photo of his photo, and I was thinking, this is fucking retarded, you know. But I didn't say that out loud because you can get a fine or go to jail in Poland for making fun of religion. And, you know, it's not they take it seriously over there. But I thought, Jesus, this is so fucking weird. And then the entire Pope thing is already quite pathetic. But then you add that level of silliness to it, and people giving money to it, and I was looking, thinking, this is retarded. What can people do this? And then they see the Muslims doing their crazy shit over there. They say, oh no, those are crazy. Yeah, yeah. And the stuff that you do over here is not. Right, so I don't know. I just find it all kind of funny. But it was nice. I went to that restaurant that is the garlic, everything with garlic.
Oh.
They had garlic everything. Even the beer had garlic in it.
In Warsaw?
No, in Latvia.
Oh, in Latvia.
In Riga. It was awesome. And the cat on top of the building, you know,
Garlic.
the cat sculptures on top of the building. That was funny.
These two cats.
Yeah, that is this building that has cats on top of it. And they were telling a story there. Our host was telling this story that there was some fight between this family that had that building and the family that had the other building, and then they turned the cats with the ass pointing at the other building. It was some stuff like that. But the cats are still there, you know, these sculptures.
Yes. So sometimes they tell story that these were two brothers and they used to be friends. That's why these cats were looking towards each other, but then one of them stole another's wife or something like that.
So they turned the cats around.
Yeah, this story is like, you know, usually urban stories.
At some point, it doesn't matter anymore if that's true or not, because the story is entertaining on itself, right? Yeah, that was quite fun. Beautiful city. I went to the KGB museum, and creepy. One of the creepiest things. It reminded me of dark times in South America that we saw that kind of thing. You know, the people disappearing and interrogation, the police being untouchable, and things like that. It was dark. It was pretty bad, and that museum exposes that a lot, and just happens to be more recent. I would say that the same darkness and corruption and the state being dangerous and oppressive during the 60s and 70s in South America, there was up to 90s, early 90s in the what was the Soviet Union. When was it that the Soviet Union actually broke? Around 92, right?
91. December 91st.
91st?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's much more recent. And I took one of my creepiest photos ever in that museum. There was this room that was kind of empty and it had a door. And I was wearing black clothes and there was a chair behind the door. And I sit behind the door, like just sitting there. And my friend took a photo that didn't show my face, just showed that I was there. It was so creepy. I'll put that photo on the podcast. That was the creepiest thing.
When you travel across these Soviet Union countries, former Soviet Union countries, was the border exist between Lithuania and Latvia at the time you travel within them?
There was nothing. Just go through. Well, empty. I mean, that they still have the buildings and the things that used to be the borders. Like most of Europe, when you cross from one country to another, they still have the buildings and all the installations, and they keep them, but it's open. You just go through.
I think it changed in 2001 to 2002 when both countries, like Lithuania,
with the Schengen,
when they started participating in Schengen.
Yeah, and for instance,
but last year, for the first time for the last 15 years or even more, I got into border control on the border with Estonia and Latvia. Yeah. So I was in a bus. I was going from St. Petersburg to Latvia, and we got officers that checked us on the border. And it looks like this is they do it because of refugees.
Yeah, a lot of refugees. Yeah, exactly. I saw the same in Austria, between Austria and Hungary. They were. The border was actually active and they were stopping the vehicles and all that.
I had this experience in 2015, the time that it just started. It was border control in between borders of three countries. It was Croatia, Hungary, and Slovenia. Like it was border control because a lot of refugees come from Croatia to these kind of Schengen countries actually. And an hour check-in, and I had between Czech Republic and Germany also in 2015. Like they just check out each car inside, who was inside, and they look for refugees.
Yes, there was. Yes, and I remember between Austria and Slovenia also they were. But they were concerned. It was just going north, so they were not stopping anybody going south.
Yeah.
So it was at the height of the concern of the refugees. A lot of refugees got into Germany, and I think that they were, reacting to that.
Three countries: it's Austria, Germany, and Sweden, who give asylum and all these. Refugee support. So the Austria actually gave them a smaller amount of money than Germany.
Let me tell you this. I was waiting for a friend in front of the train station in Vienna. Right? So I parked my bike there and I was waiting. And I saw that there was this girl talking to several people. And she had the clipboard and a uniform of some kind. And this clipboard, and she was talking to everybody coming out of the station. And I paid attention, then I noticed that there was another girl a little further in front of the other door, also talking to people. And I got closer, and I was trying to listen to it, and she was actually approaching people in English first. Then she would try, if they didn't speak English, she would try German. And so I got in, I walked into the station, and then I got out. But I was dressed like a biker. I had the leather jacket and all that. So she didn't approach me. But then I went there and I said, so what are you doing? And she said, oh, we are. I work for this thing that the city organizes, that we welcome the refugees and we check if they know where to go, if they have a place to go. Otherwise, we give them information of where there is a shelter. We check if they have food to eat. Otherwise, we send them. So we make sure that they know where things are that will help them. And I also noticed that they had a free Wi-Fi. A free Wi-Fi channel that when you open, all it does is shows you a page with welcoming information and information about where to find help. Very, very cool way of using a free Wi-Fi thing. But then she said, "But you're not a refugee, right?" I said, "I am. I'm a refugee." I said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, I am a refugee. I need help." "Where are you from?" "I'm from Miami." She said, "Nah." I said, "Why not? Are you going to discriminate now against me?" She said, "Nah." But yeah, sometimes I think that I should apply for refugee status somewhere, and I'll claim that my country is turning totalitarian or something like that. And I don't know. I think that if I apply to a country like France, they may say yes just to piss someone off and give me asylum, just because they like to be contrary. May happen. Yeah. So tell me a little bit, Artur, about those photos, man. I'm going to post some of it here. But what were you doing? What
you mean?
What's the story
virtual
behind
tours?
Yeah, those virtual tours and those the mountaineering thing.
So if we talk about mountaineering, so in my high school, one of my teachers, he used to be a tourist or some kind of like this. So he taught us like how to go hiking, how to make a tent and stove and blah blah blah. And then like it stayed with me for next couple decades or not for a decade, right? And so I'm still there, and I started doing ski touring, like touring on skis, and then just touring in mountains, then trekking, and all that just goes to mountaineering, right? This is some kind of the hardest thing they can do in mountains, as far as I know. Except of course things like skydiving, like precision flying, but this is just another type of sport, right?
Oh no, you mean that
wingsuit?
That wingsuit thing that people look like a flying squirrel.
Yeah.
That's tough.
This is just other sport, but I'm talking about when you stand on your foot, right? On your on your feet.
At a certain altitude, even just getting out of the car already feels difficult.
Yes, and so I think I started in mountaineering on altitude like 5 kilometers, 4 or 5 kilometers, technical mountaineering in about 2010. Yeah, and that was like some kind of breaking moment, because you have to choose, right? Either you travel in usual casual way, as I used to do, like that hitchhiking trip to Europe, or you just keep going into mountains.
Let me just translate that to the Americans, that the altitude he's talking about is around 16,000 feet. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. 5,000 meters.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So, and then, from 2010, I think most of my travels were towards mountains. Caucasus, mostly it would be Northern Caucasus. Sometimes South Caucasus, then Kola Peninsula. This is the very north of Russia.
But then when you get there, then what do? You just go. You go. I imagine that some people they have in mind, okay, I'll reach that peak and they come back. Others are thinking, no, I'm going to go through this range, so they are going from one peak to another. But some people are not that concerned with peaks. They want to go through the passages, to the passes and things like that. So what is the way that you look at the mountains and decide where to go?
Okay, I know. I think I know the answer. So mountain hiking, I think this is like when you have a big backpack with your tent over there and your food for a week, and then you go into valleys and you cross passes going to another valleys to another valleys. This is hiking or some hard hiking. I don't know.
Trekking.
Yeah, trekking, hiking, something like that. Yeah, some trekking Annapurna, right?
Yeah.
So this is when you just most of your day you just walk, and then you make your bivouac. Camp and cook, eat, sleep, you repeat. When you speak about mountaineering, there are also different types of mountaineering. One that we usually see in social media, these are like Everest, right? Or Annapurna or McKinley, Denali.
Denali, K2, yeah.
These are high altitude mountaineering. This thing, when you buy a pass for Everest, it costs $1,000, I think. Only
not dozen. I think from 10
like $10,000
to just go to Everest because it's high.
That $1,000. $1,000.
12,000.
Yeah. It's about that. I'm not sure. It might be 15 or 9 or 20
at least.
Yeah. So and then you receive your permit, and then you go to the first camp, and you should have a group. You should have a school leader, guide who's gonna lead you there. And you most probably carry your oxygen tank, and you have all of this.
You have Sherpas carrying 10 times more weight than you, and
yeah. So and then you just again things like Everest. High altitude, more than 8 kilometers. Yeah, this is insane. I'm not sure I'm gonna do that ever. This is one kind.
You know that the story of that guy Wim Hof, right? He went up wearing shorts.
Oh, that cold guy who
does the things in the cold. Yeah.
Cold.
He went to the top of the Everest wearing shorts.
Yeah, looks like he's some kind of anomaly.
Well, he likes to do like cold diving, diving the ice and things like that. And he developed by a lifetime of training.
Yeah.
In technique. He can endure things that most people would consider impossible. But I tested one of his techniques running. Just one way that he does the breathing prior to a dive. And I did that prior to running. I run 3 times better. Just with that little one thing. One thing that he told during a podcast. And about how divers prepare they raise their oxygen level, and then how they prepare the last few seconds before the dive. And I thought I'll try that during running, and boom, I ran like twice as long and didn't feel nearly as tired. So it's quite amazing what that guy knows. But yeah, I remember you were talking about doing this at 16,000 feet, and I remember one day that I was crossing a mountain range in Colorado by motorcycle, and at 12,000 feet, I saw some guys skiing or snowboarding. On the side of the road, there was this hill, and they were snowboarding down, and the snow was on the same level as the road, and they would snowboard down the hill and cross the road and then continue. Cross the road, still snowboarding. You just would go like, but they would do it, right? And I stopped to look at it, and I walked about 100 meters to take some photos of it, and I was gasping for air. I thought, shit, this place is 12,000 feet is already.
Yeah, but looks like the day you came there from zero, right? Like your before you came there, you were.
And I was living in Miami before, so I was used to low altitude. That's why I felt so much. Then and before that, I was in Los Angeles, also at zero, also ocean level. So when I got there, suddenly I couldn't even walk too much, and I went to. It was 2 years later that I started hashing, and I went to El Paso, and I went for a 2-mile easy run with friends. And here I do 2 miles easily. We go and do hash runs all the time, and They're 2 to 5 miles usually. Super easy. Over there, I was doing 2 miles and I was falling apart. And I thought, what the fuck is this? Why is this so difficult? Then I checked the altimeter on my phone. I thought, 5,000 feet. That's why. That's why I'm feeling it so much.
5,000 is 1.6.
2,000,
right?
about 2,000 meters.
1.5.
A little more.
Oh,
But just jogging at 5,000, I was feeling really heavy.
yeah, but usually, like when you speak about mountaineering, usually you can gain about 1,000 meters per day per 24 hours, and then like every so if right now you will throw me to again 12,000, like at first I would feel it's okay. In an hour I would say like okay, it's really hard to sit. Really hard to sit and breathe, and stand up would be almost impossible, right? And but next day, in a day from there, after a little bit of throwing up and headache, I would be much better. And
but also your body is building up more blood. It's accumulating more red blood cells.
Yeah.
Because when I saw a comparison between. At that time, he was talking about soccer playing, and the guys in Bolivia they have to play at like 6,000 feet, something like that, and compared to Rio, where it's ocean level, and what they were doing before was they would fly 2 weeks before, and try to adapt, and it didn't work that well. But then they realized that you can without breaking the rules. As long as you don't do any changes to that blood, you can donate blood to yourself. So you draw blood like a month before, and then right before you go, then you put more blood in. So you increase the quantity just a little bit, and when you were there, you put more blood in, and there is a certain calculation of how much you can do that compensates partially, because you are giving yourself more blood cells, and that's where you carry the oxygen. The problem is that a lot of athletes do that, but then they also they do a process which is the EPO. I don't remember the name. But there is a process that centrifuges the blood, and then takes just the red blood cells reaching oxygen and bring just those back in and leaves the rest out. So now you can add a very small quantity of blood back to yourself, but that is super rich in oxygen, and you perform a lot better. And that was one of the things that the guys were doing in the Tour de France, for example. And it's illegal in most sports now to do that practice. Even though it's very difficult and one reason that it lasted so many years is that it's very difficult to detect, because it's your own blood. Body. They are not adding any chemical. It's just like as if your blood is younger and stronger, but it's still yours, right? So very tough to detect. But they do that because if you're a professional athlete, you have to take blood samples at random times, and you do that in regular intervals over the years, and then they compare your blood composition with your own blood composition months earlier, and they see that the percentage of oxygen are better now, and you are a higher altitude. There is no way to do that naturally, so they did notice that.
The thing is, when I hiking or trekking in mountains, then I had like altitude more than 1,000 meter per day. I just try to have like 1,500 meters and go down for 500 meters, and you just your body adapt to this 1,500. You feel difficult, but then you go down 500 less. You feel quite good.
Yeah,
this is Himalayan style of mountaineering. I think in Russian they call sawtooth. So your altitude looks like you're going up like this. So you get some like 1,500 per day. So you go to 1,000, then you drop your things, then you go 500 more and going back. Next day you go 1,000 more, throwing your camp over here, going up.
It's adjust your body faster and to just.
Okay. I was during El Camino de Santiago in Spain. It's pretty much flat. You go a little bit up, like 3,000 meters up, but that's just the first day, and then after that it's like this. It's relatively flat. But I was doing that with a guy, and I had a small backpack, very light, and I mean I'm in good shape for that. But I was doing that with a guy from Nepal, and he's used to that stuff.
He's running.
He could walk as fast as I jog. Okay, he could totally go like he didn't know. He wouldn't go slower going uphill. Just kept going fast, and then going downhill the same speed. So he was leaving behind kids that were like 20 years younger than him. Nobody could walk with the guy. Yeah. And I asked her, how do you prepare? And I said, I just did that a lot in Himalayas and crossed that a lot.
There are two types of tolerance to altitude. One of them is short time. So, for example, if you throw me right now to 3,000, and then I will gain like day after day. That is like short scale. And another thing is long scale period, long scale tolerance. This like people who used to go to mountains to high altitude. They adapt a bit faster.
They adapt
because their body knows how to do that.
And I believe it because apparently there is a certain amount of endurance that is permanent. Maybe. And I would say probably most of it is your mental endurance, but there seems to be some aspects of it that stay with you even after you stop. Like after I did long distance running, now no matter how off shape I am, if I go out and I have to go far somewhere, I can jog all day, and next day I'll feel tired, but I can do that better today than I could do when I was 18 years old. No, I can do better now
because of practice.
Because of practice, and also knowing how to do it. There is a thing in what you do that yes, if I bring you to 12,000 feet and you have to do, the next 1,000 on your own, and things that I don't. Because of your experience doing that, so that will give you a certain advantage that makes you more resistant and all that. And sometimes the same way that I confuse part of my endurance with being physical, but it's actually mental. The same with you. Knowing how to do it, you don't forget. So when you are back there, you know how to act.
One of my friends once told me that he is about 50 years old and he has been doing mountaineering for all of his life, and he goes to that Asia like once per year or once per 2 years to altitude like 5, 6, maybe even 7,000 meters. That's up to 2,500 or 2,400 feet, 1,000 feet. And he says that every time he goes there to Nepal, to Namche Bazaar and then so on, he goes there from St. Petersburg, Russia, that's also on zero level, and he feels bad. No matter, like maybe he was the same place like 2 months ago, but he feels bad, and next day he feels a bit better, and then he does it again. You walk through this city, and you feel tired, and it's so like everything is so bad, and then you take a look on your right, and you see the small kids playing football, and you think, how can they do that? Shit. Like I have been mountaineering for 50 years, and no.
Exactly. So I did a podcast with a guy in Montenegro that he went by bicycle from Europe to China, and he was telling us about. I don't remember if he told that during the podcast or later during conversation, that he was doing that with a friend. So 2 bicycles, and they were going up a mountain somewhere in the Himalayas. I don't know in what country, and they were going up the mountain for like a mile. And then this boy was on the side of the road and asked them, hey, like, you need anything? Are you okay? They say, yeah, we're traveling. All right. Are you hungry? So, yeah, actually we are, because in the last village we didn't find anything open. We couldn't buy food. So we would be happy to buy some food. He said, all right, you can come to my house. My mother will make dinner for you. They said, oh, great. Where is your house? Oh, it's over there in that village. But the village was like 2 miles back. So they thought about it. They said, well, we appreciate the offer, but, going 2 miles back, then we have to go up the mountain again for 2 miles. It's, we don't feel that we should do it. But thank you so much. The boy said, oh, don't worry, I'll bring dinner for you. And he ran. He ran down the mountain. And they kept going, pushing the bikes, because the bikes were heavy, and so they went another mile up, and the boy cut up he came back and said, hey, I asked my mother, and she said that she would be happy to make dinner for you, but he doesn't know how you like your chicken cooked. So she sent the chicken, and he gave them the live chicken. So you do it any way you like. So now they had the chicken.
These guys are robots.
Yeah.
Well, I have also a story about chicken from mountaineering, but my friend from mountaineering told me this story. So he's an instructor, and he works also for Russian military, Russian border control. And he told that once they had a really long mountain tour with a group of like more than 10 privates and a couple surgeons or even lieutenants, and there was some shit happening around, and they couldn't come back in time, and they didn't have enough supply. Not enough food, and so finally they found themselves in a shelter somewhere in the mountains, sitting there, and they're completely wet. After many days outdoor, they all smell very bad. They all are dirty, wet, and they don't. The last food that they had was like a piece of frozen chicken, like breast or the whole chicken. I don't remember exactly. And so they're sitting in the middle of that cabin, and they have stove with bowl, and they throw their they have fire. I think they have stove, and they have this volume with water, and they threw there this chicken to make some soup. That's the last thing that they have. But and these privates, they organized ropes, and then they installed the shelter, so it's they have just ropes to dry things, and they throw their pants, like socks and so on, and all of a sudden one of the privates, his socks falls into soup, and everyone is like and it's hot. This private puts his head inside, gets this wet sock, and turn his head, it was told me, right, to talk to one of the lieutenants, to the officers, and the officers said, well, you know what to do, squeeze it back.
Ooh. Squeeze it back. Yeah. I think that people that do this kind of things develop any kind of thing like that, like mountaineering or extreme sports, ultra runners, and military. They develop a tolerance for discomfort. I think that if you arrive at a place and you just have the floor to sleep, you go and you make your thing. You may not prefer that, but you are not going to even complain about it. You think, okay, here it is, right? And you unroll your mat and your sleeping bag, and you'll be okay. If you arrive at the train station, you need to visit someone, and you have a big backpack, and then it's raining. You go like, well, all right, and you go raining. You don't suffer too much when those things happen, because you develop that tolerance for discomfort, and that's a great advantage for the rest of your life. Sometimes I notice doing things where other people, very often younger people, they don't want to do it. Oh my God, but it's cold or it's rainy or all that. And I think, you fucking faggots, just go. It's not going to melt you. It's just water. Just go forward and complain later. But
probably you don't have another chance later. Actually,
yeah.
I mean, sometimes, like when I live in St. Petersburg, sometimes, so a lot of time, it's the weather where it's quite rainy, I can say, and like I have a lot of friends and like parents who come to my place for like weekend or couple days only, and it was rainy. And I told my mom, like, it was raining on the street, but I told, like, take raincoat or umbrella and we go to walk, because we don't know when it will be sunny here. And just, we start walking for 1 hour, couple hours more, and the rain stops and we just continue walking on the good weather, actually. And it's life, it happens. And you have to be prepared, or at least you have to move.
Yeah, I don't know, I think comfort... Modern life has too much focus on comfort. Look at advertising, comfort and convenience, right?
Yeah.
So all advertising, all the features in products, the only thing they sell is for consumer products. The only thing is, this is convenient, this is more convenient, this is more convenient. Yeah, but it's okay, but you need to have the training on your own to not depend on convenience. Or you take it for what it is. Okay, it's convenient when I have the opportunity, but there are a lot of amazing things to do in life that are interesting or some amazing for one reason or another. They are quite uncomfortable, There is an entire philosophy, entire branch of philosophy called Stoicism. About that. About keeping yourself uncomfortable, keeping yourself on your toes, even doing things on purpose that make your life a little less comfortable, or that expose yourself to discomfort or ridicule. That's why, fasting, occasionally. That's why not talking occasionally. That's why doing things that are ridiculous occasionally, just so you expose yourself to the criticism of others on purpose. So it keeps you lean, keeps you hungry, and I think that's a great idea. One of the things that I'm doing, among others, I fast sometimes just for practice, but now I have a card that says I would like to be silent today. And you can talk to me, but I'll try to not use words. And thank you. And I consider that an exercise. And thank you very much. And so some days I choose a day, and then I don't talk. And I show the card to anybody that approaches me, and I do my best with gestures. But other than that, it's just training. It's not necessary. There is no need to be silent. But it feels interesting. It feels really interesting. If when you talk less and you do that in a regular basis for long periods, like an entire day or more than one day, you start listening to your own mind. You start noticing the noise that your mind makes, and you can calm it down. In my case, that's what happened. When the first time that I could spend an entire day silent was walking through the desert. And it was 3 days in a row, absolutely silent. just occasionally a message, on through the phone, but no phone calls, no talking to anybody, nothing. Oh, it was amazing. It clears. It's like, don't people do detox? They eat too much and they need to detox because they're full of shit, right? Same with the brain.
Yeah.
Same thing. We're full of noise and distractions. If you're just quiet for a day or two.
I did this kind of for 10 days in Vipassana.
And you know that because you have been to the mountains. The mountain is... There is only one thing that is I know absolutely for sure about any mountain, is that the guy on the top didn't get there by accident. He didn't fall there. Right? You don't get there by accident. Right? In the sense that you don't fall there. You have to walk up to there. Right? So you can end up by accident in the valley, but not at the peak. Right? So it takes decision. Takes discipline, takes working on that, takes patience. You have to get a huge problem and divide that in very little small problems, right? So all those skills end up revealing themselves in your life. Because if you are good at solving that one, you end up becoming better at solving the others, right? So yesterday, you told me about a problem with your car, right? It's not a huge problem. It's not like a major thing. But I bet that your experience in the past changed a little bit the way that you were dealing with that problem. At least it changed the way that you felt about it. Compared with if you didn't have that experience. You would probably be more concerned or at least more upset.
I see.
But you go like, okay, you have to do it. You do it. Right, and there is a certain peacefulness in when you are solving problems because you just compare with that problem, and you look at this problem and you think, okay, I'll just do it. It gives you a certain peace of mind.
My American about this thing. My American colleague over here asked me like, "What are you gonna do for this holiday?" I told it, okay, I'm gonna go to Florida to get some warmth, see people and so on. And he asked me like, are you going to Orlando? It's like, no, I heard Orlando is a good place, but I don't really want. And he like, do you want to go to Disneyland? It's like, no, I'm not really into it. He just, oh right, you like going to mountaineering, like absolutely uncomfortable place without people around, just you and a rock. And Disneyland is absolutely opposite.
Exactly. But it is. It's like someone invited me to go to Disneyland. Here's Disney World. To invite me to go to Disney World. It was during the same month that I came back from Germany. And I was joking about it. I said, why am I going there to see a castle? They have real ones in Europe, like made of real material, so why do I want to see a plastic castle? Yeah, but no, I understand that there is a value in that, and the kids love it, and it's fun for the adults as well. So that is a value. But if someone says, well, I have two options. I have Disney World for 2 days, or what about camping in the middle of nothing in the islands or in the Everglades, and we have to build a thing to camp on top, otherwise the alligators will surround us. I will go for that. I'll go for that as long as I know that the person doing that has also some knowledge, some experience, and knows how to solve problems. I would prefer that than the comfort of a park and Disney World or anything like that. I prefer the crazy things now. Some time ago, I invited friends for a midnight marathon. So we started at midnight and ran from here to Hollywood. And only 2 friends showed up. The 2 were ex-military. So you invite people to drink some beers and run overnight, military show up. Because for them it's like, all right, problem to solve. We go there and we go step by step and we solve it. You know, so it doesn't scare. Of course, there are other people that would like to do it, but they had jobs and they have to work the next day, or you know, they have jobs and kids and other things that also have their own value. But in fact, when you invite people to do crazy things, usually it's people with experience or ultra athletes or military that are the first ones to jump in. All right. Anything else that I should know about your plans? Where are you going now? What are you doing?
I'm going to Key West, I think.
You're going to Key West?
Yeah. Just
First time?
Yeah.
You like it?
I hope so.
Where are you planning to stay?
I'm not gonna stay there.
You're not staying the night?
No, I'm gonna come back.
Okay.
I think it's still doable, right?
But if you decide to stay, if you decide to like camp, wild camp, you send me a message. I have the coordinates of a place where you can park your car, nobody can see you. You can camp in the car, out of the car, doesn't matter. It's just nature there.
You see,
Very nice.
tomorrow evening I need to get to North Carolina.
Ah, yes.
So and driving from there would be pretty hard, I think.
Yeah.
It would be like
It's additional 200 kilometers.
Yeah.
miles, 200
200
miles.
Yes. Yes. Well, you enjoy it. Key West is beautiful. The road is beautiful, and it's going to be a beautiful day. Yes. Cool. What about you, Serg?
My next destination, Atlanta, from New Orleans. So I
Mhm.
just plan to travel a little bit in the United States.
But you're hitchhiking, right?
No, now it's megabuses.
Megabus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I did hitchhiking. The hitchhiking here is works. It's quite good. Sometimes not. You have to wait long time. Sometimes it's just short time.
Mhm.
In Florida, for example, it's quite good. I mean, it's quite fast. People pick up.
Mhm.
You don't stay long on the road, but
I'm sorry, but may I ask a question? Do you stay on the road
No.
or on gas stations?
depends. Because usually you have to start from the city area. From city area, you have to exit on any highway, and after you get to highway, it's better to have a car to one of the service area. And after that, when you reach like service area, rest area, from there you can easily find not easily, but you have find long distance ride, and it's how it works, because it's illegal here to hitchhike on the highway.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't want to have any problems with police, so I just follow the rules.
Yes, I think once I was stopped with police in somewhere between Munich and Berlin, and they were just like, "No, guy, you cannot stay here." And it's like, but you know, I need to go to Berlin, and it's just like 9. And they brought me somewhere, out of Autobahn.
Yeah, out of the Autobahn, exactly.
Yeah. So, but then you know like how to do it. You can just follow, and sometimes it's good to try hitchhiking in different countries. But in United States, there are the road chain. The roads is a lot of roads and big ones, and sometimes it's difficult to find the car from one direction to another direction, change the highways. So sometimes it's really difficult, and the good thing here, you have find a lot of cheap another kind of transportation, including like flights, megabuses.
The train's good sometimes.
Train's good, but train's quite expensive.
Often, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did use trains also here, like short distance trains, less than 100 kilometers, like less than 50 miles, let's say, or maybe less than 60 miles. Yeah, trains is good, but like you can find megabus if you just prepare your trip in advance. It's just nothing.
Cool. Well,
so this part of trip, I continue by megabuses, because at least when I start traveling around here, I didn't know like exactly dates in each city, but then before Cuba, I just planned my next trip, next part of the trip, and now just.
Well, guys, thank you very much for stopping by and participating on this, and I wish you have a great time during the next few trips, and
Thank you.
we will meet again another point in the world.
Yeah, that's good. That's good word. I like to say it's my friends, the people I meet up, like meet up somewhere else
Yeah.
in the future.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We hope you like this podcast as much as we like to produce it. This has been made possible by the efforts of dozens of volunteers, supporters, partners, and visionaries that are helping us build Voyager's World. Please visit our website